Good afternoon. My name's Mike Feigen, and I'm the owner of Design Tech Homes. And I do this seminar a couple times a month to help people who are looking to build a home on their own lot, or also before they even buy the property, to get the right information. Been in business for over 23 years. Used to do a radio show called The Better Home Show on 550 KTSA in San Antonio and 700 KSEV in Houston. And it was a live call-in radio show about home building and remodeling. So if you have any questions, please feel free to type them out. I also have Brian Bromberg, who's our assistant sales manager. He's going to be answering questions as we move through this, so you can get your answers. If you'd like to pose those questions, he'll be happy to answer them as we're doing the seminar. Before we get started, I'm just going to launch a little poll to make sure that I know which areas and who's on that I'm speaking to make sure I can get you the right information. So I'm going to launch that poll right now. And if you just take a few minutes to answer those, that'd be great. The questions on there. With that, I'm going to be covering first what to look for in a lot. And then next, I'm going to be covering what to look for in a custom home builder. If you already own your lot, this is going to, will still be very pertinent to you. If you don't own your lot, obviously, these are things you can do and learn before you get into trouble. With that, I'm going to get started here. I'm the owner of Design Tech Homes. My wife owns the company with me, Barbara. She's the CFO. She's a CPA. Worked for Coopers & Lybrand, and I worked for a large national home builder before starting Design Tech Homes. So built now thousands and thousands of homes. And as a custom home builder, we want to make sure that we're delivering the quality and all the things that you would expect to get into a home. And so part of my great experience was having the ability to be involved with so many homes and seeing what worked and what didn't work. And a lot of times a custom home builder is only building one or two or three a year, and they may not know that a product doesn't work or has a problem later. And so part of what we think are, one of the positive things about our company is we know what products work and don't work and just don't jump on different products that come out into the market without testing them. So first part of what I'm going to cover is, again, what to look for in a home site. And I'm going to cover each one of these areas that you see on the screen. I will also post this. If you miss something, it'll be posted online tomorrow. I'll automatically email you the video and the webinar so that you'll be able to, in case you miss something, be able to see it. So deed restrictions. Why deed restrictions? They're there to protect you. One of the biggest issues people make when they go to buy a piece of property is they don't read their deed restrictions. The other thing they do is they don't read their deed restrictions before they go find a builder or talk to the architect. So one of the most important things you can do is ask if there are restrictions, please read them. Building styles, square footages, those are all things that are in those deed restrictions. So a lot of people might be going, hey, I want to downsize. My kids are moving out. I don't want to have to build a 2,800 square foot house. Well, if the restrictions require you to build 2,800 square foot, that's what you're going to be building. So make sure you read those deed restrictions. That's one of the biggest issues we find. People get very disappointed. They go, I want to build a 2,000 square foot house. Well, they can't. It says you must build 2,500 square feet. They might want a house that kind of has a country style, all siding. Well, if the restrictions say you're going to build an all brick home or a masonry home, whether it be stucco siding, stucco, stone, or brick, you're not going to be able to build that country style home. So again, reading those restrictions is a great way to make sure that you don't buy a piece of property that eventually you're unhappy with. Those deed restrictions also are a way to make sure that if you build a certain style of home, that maybe everyone else in the neighborhood builds one of that same style or manner or of quality. So if you don't like deed restrictions, you want to park your camper outside, your work truck, build whatever you want, put colors on, then don't buy in a deed restricted neighborhood. I live in the Woodlands, Texas, and I always talk about I put in a trampoline in my backyard when I had young kids, and all of a sudden I had a knock on the door and had a fine because I didn't get a permit to put in a trampoline, which I didn't know I was supposed to get, and I didn't buy the right color netting. Those are the things that frustrate me, although I live in the Woodlands and we like it most of the time. Those are the things I don't like. So again, restrictions can be very onerous in some cases. Again, review the deed restrictions before purchasing your home and make sure that your building style and your square footage are something that you can live with. A property developed subdivision has a plan. I always bring up Texas Grand Ranch in Houston because they're advertised a lot. That's a company and a group that is doing a great job in developing that piece of property correctly. Same thing in San Antonio. There's many of them, but I always bring up Mystic Shores because a lot of people know where that is. But those being developed, were developed and are being developed, were being done correctly. They did the geotechnical studies that were required to make sure that the streets were being developed correctly and could be turned over to the county. Those are all things that you want to look at. If you're buying from a large developer, ask them for the geotechnical study. See if they did it. Ask if they've done a phase 1 or phase 2 environmental study. All those big developments, if they're doing it properly, will have done a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental study. And what that means is, first of all, they've done they've pulled up and done title work, make sure that there's going to be clear title on all the property. They've also made sure that there's no, maybe there was oil wells there originally, or maybe there was old water wells, or maybe there was an old dump there. Those are all things they're going to find by pulling title and doing a phase 1 and phase 2 environmental study. Drainage plans, water, sewer, and septic are laid out ahead of time. If you're buying less than an acre, that's going to be very important. If you have to put in a water well and a septic, that you know where they're supposed to go, because you have to be at least 200 feet away from a water well with your septic. We have seen people buy property that becomes unbuildable because they can't get that far away from the water well or the septic because the neighbors is too close and it wasn't laid out ahead of time, and the property becomes unbuildable. Is a water supply public, or do you put in a water well? I know that sounds crazy, but we've had many people buy property and did not realize that they had to put in a water well. That's maybe why the property was a little bit less money than what they thought. They thought they got a great deal until they had to spend, it was in San Antonio, $15,000, $20,000 to put in a water well. In Houston, it's generally much more than that, 6,000 to 9,000 generally to put in a water well. And then is gas or propane available to the site? That's something else that is a, whoops, I'm gonna get trying to have it come up here, your poll come off there. I dragged it away. There we go. Polls and polling. Got it. Anyway, I apologize on that. I was just having some floodplain location. So you want to ask, first of all, did they pull a floodplain certificate? Or you need to get a floodplain certificate and make sure that's not in a floodplain. Check with longtime neighbors. It may not be in a floodplain, but it just happens to flood. Look for positive drainage away from your home site. If it looks like it's going to hold water, that's going to be a problem. The number one reason for slab failure anywhere is not having positive drainage away from your home. That's anywhere in the country, whether it be someone that builds basements or whether it be on slab on grade or even walkout basements. Not having proper drainage is the number one reason for slab failure. We can fix not having good drainage. We can always fix that on site, but it always costs more money. So a lot of times pieces of property are sold for less money because they don't drain very well. Utilities. You're going to have to pay to get things hooked up to your home. If it's electric and it's overhead, that's generally free up to about 150 feet. If it's underground, you're going to pay always for it to be underground and from the pole and run or the pedestal to your house. So those are some additional costs that you may not be aware of, and just want you to think about when you're buying the property, but also when you go to build your home, because depending on how far you're away from some of those can cost more money. Lengthy water, sewer, and power lines can add significantly to the cost of your home. Again, the farther you're away from these utilities, the more money it can cost. We always talk about going out and doing a site visit, and the customer may want their house 200 foot off the road. And by the time we're done doing that site visit and they figure out that the water line and the sewer line and the electric lines, all those cost X amount of dollars. And besides that, your driveway, the length of the driveway becomes very long. They decide that the house looks really good at 50 foot off the road. So those are all things to be thinking about when you're looking at property and when you're trying to figure out maybe where you want to place your home. That's something that we're very involved in, because obviously placement of the home can cost, not knowing where to place it or placing it in a manner that might cost a lot of money, being that it's not put in the right place, can add significantly to the cost of your home. Water well and septic and propane, if desired, can cost in excess of $20,000. I was talking about driveways, and driveways can cost a lot of money, especially if they have to be really, really long. So concrete in the Houston area is usually less than asphalt. In San Antonio, many of the subdivisions require concrete. They might let you do a crushed limestone or a asphalt driveway, but asphalt generally today, just because they figured out how to use all the what was the waste in oil, asphalt's not that inexpensive anymore. So in San Antonio, it makes more sense when it sometimes is less to use asphalt, and the fact that it is you have rock on the north side of San Antonio, so to build the base isn't quite as costly. In Houston, concrete's always less than asphalt. With that, I'm going to move on what to look for in a builder. But before I jump into that, many people go out and buy property with cash. That's really great, and you can do that. But if you're going to buy property with cash, you need to think like a bank. If you're not thinking like a bank, you're going to have a problem. When I'm saying think like a bank, you need to get title insurance. Most of the problems we see, and we've had 2 now this year, when people buy property with cash, is they didn't get proper title. And when they go to get, and now they're going to get a loan on the home to build the house, now the loan comes out and they have to get a title insurance. Well, the title shows that they have, either it's landlocked. In this case, we've had 2 houses where the customers were landlocked, and the bank goes, I can't get to that house. Meaning they didn't own the right of way that they thought they did to get to the home. That right of way was owned by a neighbor. And in the case of one of these, the neighbor goes, I'm not selling it. So now they own a piece of property that they closed on, and they cannot build on it. In the other case, they're having to make a deal with the neighbor and purchase that right of way. So please, if you're paying cash, act like you're a bank. That would never, ever happen to a bank, because they're going to give you a loan on it. They're going to do all the things. They're going to do a survey, and they're going to pull title on it. And then they're going to get title insurance, so that if it was not disclosed properly, then the title company is going to be paying for it. So please, as you're thinking about buying property, and if you already bought your property, one of the first things we're going to do is open title and try to find these issues out. So that does happen, because when we open up title, that's when usually this stuff happens. So what to look for in a builder. These are all things you can, I'm going to cover, and that should help you as you move forward if you're looking to build with a custom builder. I'm going to cover each one of those areas. So what's full service one-stop shop? When we started over 23 years ago, there were a lot of builders that did not put in septic or water well or do the site work. They would say, hey, bring me a paid off lot, and then we'll place the home on it, but you need to put in your septic or water well. We're a full service design build custom home builder, meaning if you don't have a plan that you like, we'll design it from scratch. We also can, if you have an architect or designer, build off one of your plans. But besides that, we'll do all the site work. Doesn't mean you can't do it, but we will do all the site work. We will do putting the septic in, water wells, placement, driveways, all those things that a lot of people don't know how to do. And if they're not doing it correctly, it costs them more money than going through a builder. And so we want to help you along that process. When you talk about full service, one-stop shopping, it's being able to take all the processes of building a custom home and kind of trying to make it easier. I'm never going to say it's easy to build a home. I'm going to try to make it easier. So lot site preparation, whether you might need a building pad, which is an engineered pad. I'm going to get into that later when I talk about foundations. Putting in, I call them roads sometimes because sometimes they are, 4 or 5 or 600 feet long. Putting in septics, water wells, clearing the lot, building pads, which is the engineered pad, making sure that when we're placing this home, it's done in the best possible way so that you do not have a foundation problem or you're really just a placement problem on your home at a later date. We also have full-time personnel at our offices that help get architectural control approval and get permits, whether you're in the county, city. Those are something that, again, can be very onerous, and that's a full-time job at Design Tech Homes, and we'll help do that. Architectural design services, this is an area where a lot of people make a big mistake. They go out and they hire an architect or designer, and they didn't understand really what all the costs were. And the architect's a great person, whether it be a guy or a gal, and they go meet with them, and maybe the architect charges, sometimes it's $1, sometimes it's $2 a square foot of framed area. That's how an architect or designer gets paid. It's framed area. So what does that mean? If your house is 2,400 square feet and you have a 400 square foot garage, you now have a 2,800 square foot of framed area that they're going to get paid on. Now, if you have a 200 square foot porch, now you have a 3,000 square foot house. So let's just say it's $1 a foot. You're going to pay $3,000 for a set of plans. That's how architects or designers get paid. So you go meet with your architect or designer, you tell them what you want. You tell them you want 2,400 square feet. You say that you want to spend about $350,000, and they start designing your home for you. And the first rendition of that comes back, and you look at it and you go, this is really beautiful. And it was a 3-bedroom with a 2-car garage, and that's what you wanted. Well, after you looked at it for a while, you went, you know what? We decided we want a 3-car garage. The porch was only about 100 square feet. We really lived off the back of our home and we want a 400 square foot porch. We want the master bedroom to be a little bit bigger. And all of a sudden this house grew by a whole car garage, by 400 square foot on the back of the house on a porch, and the master bedroom and bath got bigger. Anyway, all of a sudden this house grew, and maybe let's call it, it's 2,700 square feet. They finish the house, they go, this is beautiful, this is what I want, and then they start shopping the plan. Well, if we're the third person or fourth person they've shopped, here's kind of how the story goes. They walk in, they show us the plan, they say, do you build other people's plans? We say, sure we do. We lower out the plans, we ask them some questions and say, kind of tell us a little about your budget. They go, well, our budget was $350,000. And we start looking at that, and we're going, okay, they need a septic, they need a water well, they need a long driveway. And besides all that, now this house is 2,700 square feet with an extra garage and an extra porch. It just got out of their budget. That wasn't what they wanted to spend. So I always tell that story because it's really easy to add square footage when you don't know what all the costs are. So find your builder first, then work with your designer or architect so that when you start adding things to the home, you make sure that it's within the price range that you want to pay. It's pretty disheartening to spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000, whatever it is, on a set of plans that you don't end up building. And whether it's a $3,000 set of plans, I always use artwork for that. I don't buy artwork that's $3,000. Matter of fact, I don't like buying artwork that's $300 or $400. Sometimes we have to do that to make it look nice. But $3,000 and $4,000 artwork to me is something where I'm going to make an investment, which I don't do. So no one's going to want your plan ever later. It's not that big of a work of art that can go on the wall. So again, don't invest in a work of art. Invest in something that you can build. Design center, I highly recommend if your builder doesn't have a design center. We have design centers in both locations, and that's so that you can pick out all your selections before we start the construction of your home. The reason we do that is otherwise you don't know what your home's going to cost. So we pick it all out prior to the start of your home so that we can tell you exactly what your home's going to cost and there's not any surprises. If you go to a builder that just gives you allowances and then tells you you're going to pick out these selections as the home gets built, that's when you start hearing those horror stories of, oh my gosh, it got out of my budget. So that doesn't mean you can't make a change at Design Tech Homes. You can always change your mind. You can always make a product that's maybe costs less or costs more. But if you didn't make any changes after the home started, you would know that you're going to get faucets and fixtures and lighting fixtures of exactly what you picked and flooring and all the stuff that you thought you were within the price that we told you and the price that you closed on your mortgage on. The other thing we can help with is mortgage services. We have a few preferred lenders that we work with. Those lenders do what are called one-time closes, construction financing. Highly recommend that you do a one-time close if you qualify. Most everyone will qualify if you have good credit. A one-time close is a construction loan and permanent financing all rolled into one. So let's use an example of why that's a cool deal. Right now, mortgage rates were at an all-time low. I just think I got an email a few minutes ago saying that they're at 2.98%. So because you're not closing tomorrow, let's just say you're going to get a mortgage rate of, I'm making this up right now, but of 3.25. Well, let's say you don't do a construction loan, a one-time close. You do what's called a construction loan, and then at the end of the construction, you get into what's called permanent financing, a normal 30-year, 15-year, 20-year, whatever mortgage you want to go to. You're now going to be subject to what the mortgage rates are the day you close a year from now, or 12 months from now, or 9 months, whatever it is. So if you do a one-time close, if you were to go today and say, hey, Mike, we're going to go build a house, and in 2 weeks you're ready to close, or 3 weeks on the loan, whatever the deal is, they'll lock it in, and they could lock in that rate, let's say today, at 3%. If the mortgage rates go up, you still pay 3%. If the mortgage rates go down, which highly is not likely, you will then pay a lower rate. So by having that locked in, you know what your mortgage is at the start of construction, not at the completion. There's some builders that go, oh, we use our own money to go do it, to finance the construction, and then you're going to get a 30-year mortgage at the end. Well, you're waiting a year to lock in that rate. In this case, what we do to offset that is we pay the interest while your home's being built if you use one of our preferred lenders. I always urge you to shop many, many lenders, but if you start moving down the process with us, we have a few preferred lenders that are extremely competitive. And the reason we do that is very selfish, is we have lots and lots of homes under construction, and we don't want to deal with lots and lots of different mortgage companies as we go get our draws, because we get paid in draws as the house moves on, which means we get paid when we pour a slab, we get paid when we frame the house, we get paid when it gets sheetrock, things like that. So highly recommend you look at a one-time close, and it'll be more cost effective for you and enable you to lock in your rate now instead of a year from now. Lot site evaluation, big deal. Meet with a builder at lot to evaluate your needs. When I say that, it's the placement of your home. Are you going to be building a pool, an outbuilding, adding a garage later, or a barn? All those things are important. We need to know what those are so that we can run, whether it be power or add power to the house, for meaning extra power to the house, so that if you're going to build a barn or something later, that you can run it off the house. Those are all things we're looking at to make sure it's being done properly. You want to make sure you have someone with that expertise to look at the lot and see, is there a better way to build on that lot? Sometimes in San Antonio, it's cutting the lot, meaning cutting it down and getting it flatter, because there's a lot of fall there, and that can save significant amounts of money. Sometimes in Houston, it's low and we're needing to build an engineered pad, which means we bring in dirt in 6-inch increments, and it gets compacted by a bulldozer, and that goes back and forth, and it actually gets tested by an engineer as it goes up, which is called an engineered pad, as it goes up each 6-inch increments, and making sure that the property drains, or if there's bad dirt, we're able to take care of it. So those are all things we're looking at. Home site, utility placement. Again, Where are the utilities coming in? Are we going to make sure we don't put a utility through an area that you're one day going to put a garden in, possibly? Whatever it might be, we want to make sure we've thought through these things so you're not having to deal with it later. Pools, things like that. Additional costs associated with that lot could be significant, and that's the reason why we want to make sure we thought through all the issues. Soils test. If your builder does not do this, don't build with them. It's a soils test by a geotechnical engineer. That's a boring that goes 15 feet deep, or as deep as they can go. It then comes out, you're going to get, it's going to, when if they can go 15 feet down, they're going to get 15 different cylinders that come out, okay, that make up that entire depth. It looks like a drill rig going out on site. It's like they're drilling for water or drilling for oil. They're going to go down 15 feet or as deep as they can go and pull out all those cylinders out. And so you're going to get 15 cylinders that they wrap up and put into a cooler, take back to the engineer's office, heat them up, cool them off, add water to them, try to create what happens in nature over time. And when they do that, they then come out with a report, which is a report that tells the structural engineer who's going to design your slab what to do. So that's very, very important. That's one of the first things that should be done before anybody builds on the piece of property. That's a big deal, and that's something that we do on every house we build. We've had people walk in and go, well, the neighbor did this, the builder did this on the house next door. It doesn't matter what a builder did. It doesn't matter if they think they know the soil. Every piece of property is different, and I've been on pieces of property that I've owned and built multiple houses on, and every piece of property that was 100 feet apart was all a different, needed a different type of engineering. So you just don't know. So be really careful with that. I'm going to discuss the next part is the slab engineering by a structural engineer based on soils test. I've seen many times where an architect will draw out the beams on a house and they'll go, hey, it's all engineered. You do not have an engineered slab if you don't have an engineered stamp on the plans, okay? You also don't have an engineered geotech if you don't have an engineered geotech stamp on that geotechnical report. So be really careful with that. There's a lot of people that this is a standardized engineered plan. It's not done for that particular site. And so that's something to be really careful of. The other thing to think about is when you're out on site and they're looking at the property and they're talking about what to clear, making sure, a lot of people talk about how far do I have to clear the trees away from my home. You want really 15 feet away from your house to make sure that you don't have any trees invading or getting into your home. That doesn't mean you can't build closer. There are cases you can, but we might need to put in something to protect the tree roots from going underneath the home. Obviously, those are additional costs, but highly recommend that that's not, if you can keep it 15 feet away, that's a whole lot better. I'm going to cover energy efficiency of your home, quality materials and workmanship, and independent inspections in just a moment. Contract specs and options in writing. If you remember this statement, if it's not in writing, you're not getting it. If it's not in writing, you're not getting it. So you definitely want to make sure everything's in writing. We do everything in writing. Our contract, our specifications, and all the options are in writing. We redraw every plan for every customer. So let's say you did like some of our plans, you modified our plans, they get redrawn for every customer specifically for your lot. So we're going to redraw them all. We're going to make sure that everything that needs to be on there is on there for your particular lot. We don't do what are called red lines. We might red line in an office, but then you get a final set or a pre-final set, multiple sets to make sure we're all on the same page before we do anything. So make sure that you have that complete set of drawings so that you know what you're going to get on your own lot. Final meeting with builder, it's called a pre-construction meeting with us. Before you close on your loan, before you start the home, we want to make sure that we're all on the same page. So We're going to take out that plan that was redrawn for you. We're going to take out all your selections. You know, we include, when we build you a home, we include working with our interior designer to pick out all your selections. That will help you make the process again a little bit easier, picking out all those selections, because that can be very stressful. We're going to put all those selections together. We're going to put the plans together. We're going to put a plot plan which shows where the house sits on your property, where the septic goes, if that's where it is, or if you're in the city, where the city sewer goes. All those things are going to be spelled out so that we're all on the same page, and we're going to sign off, and everybody's going to go, today, this is what we all agree on. That doesn't mean we can't change our minds, or meaning you can't change your minds. We can't change our minds. That's what we're going to build until you tell us you want something different. So that's what that final meeting or pre-construction meeting is. It's a big deal. Clear understanding between builder and home buyer on what they purchased. You really want to get that clear understanding. The number one reason for disagreements or you hear bad stories is there was not good documentation. There wasn't a clear understanding of what they had. And so by doing this meeting, we feel it really, really does help. And I can tell you, after the years, and we didn't do it day one, day two, we've probably been doing it for the last 7 years in the manner we've been doing it today. We always did a version of it, but doing it in the way we do today has really, really helped and gets everybody on the same page. And we do find mistakes in that meeting where there was a misunderstanding, and hey, there's a misunderstanding by us or the buyer, and we get it all cleared up before we go out on their lot and start building. Professional on a sales staff. If you don't like the sales staff, you don't feel they're honest, just like when you're going to buy a car, then don't buy there. This next part's a disclosure statement. We give it to you. You probably can barely read it like that, but you can actually read it. We don't do it where you can't read it. And it's a law that became effective in 1998. That disclosure statement is something that every builder who's building a custom home should give to you. I bring that up because that's not the case. And they don't hand that out, and then you won't know about it until there's a big problem. But I do bring that up because these are some of the things that are on it. We're required by law to give you a list of suppliers and subcontractors to be used during the build process. That's after you close. And if we change someone that's going to be out there, we must notify you of that. So that's part of the law. Progress reporting for draws. When we draw for, when I talked earlier a little bit about, we get paid in draws, which means we get paid when we pour your slab, when we frame your home, when we insulate your home, when we sheetrock your home. Those are all stages of construction. So we get progress payments, and we must notify you of that. That's part of the law. The other part is escrow account. The funds cannot be commingled in the builder's operating account. So I have an operating account. That's what I can do whatever I want to with. I mean, I can pay my employees, pay myself. The other account, the construction account, is where the money goes. So from that draw for the slab, that slab, let's just call it, keep it simple, $50,000, and $5,000 of its profit. Well, that can go into my operating account, and $45,000 of it needs to stay in the construction account. And that's so that we can pay all the people that need to get paid. The foundation concrete company, the person who built the foundation, all those things, the trades that did that, all can get paid. The reason I bring this up is you actually ask a builder about an escrow account, and do they commingle? You're going to see a lot of squirming because they probably don't follow the law. And when I say that is, I know many builders, when I bring this up and I'm talking to them, they don't even know about this. That is the law. Now, if nothing ever happens while they're building the house, you'll never know about it. If something bad happens, they're going to go, aha, I got them. And then they're going to get a lawyer. And I can tell you what happens with a lawyer no matter what. The only person that wins in that situation is the lawyer. So you don't want to go down that path. That's one of the reasons I do this seminar, is I'm trying to give you things to make sure you're aware of, so that hopefully you don't go down that path and have to get with a lawyer or someone that to help you out of the problem. Get a written copy of the home builder's warranty before signing a contract. Every builder in the state of Texas is responsible for your slab and structure for 10 years. Every builder in the state of Texas is responsible for your slab and structure for 10 years. Okay. One thing we do that's a little bit different, you'll see it later in the presentation, is after we were in business for 10 years, we then started offering a 20-year warranty. We have a 20-year structural warranty. That is very, very unique. We didn't do that for the first 10 years because I wanted to prove that by doing everything the right way, we really can stand behind our homes. And we're going to talk about, the way we do things to do it the right way. And by doing that, we know we can deliver a really quality home at a good value, but also stand behind it. So we do offer a 20-year warranty. There's many third-party warranty and dispute resolutions companies. We subscribe to ACES along with many other builders in the state of Texas. There are some, I'm going to call them insured warranties, but all the warranties are really only as good as your builder. If your builder goes out of business, you really have no warranty. If your builder goes out of business, you have no warranty. So a lot of people don't think that's important until there's a big problem. And that's one of the reasons I talk about us being around for 23 years. We've been through all the different ups and downs and been around for a long time. So please be careful in and around that. There are builders that change their names, meaning it was, XYZ Builders, and the next time it was XYZ Inc., and the next time it was XYZ LLC. I can name 4 or 5 builders that you might have been thinking, or that you think have been in business for the entire time, that have gone out of business 3 or 4 times, but their marketing name is the same. So be really careful. We've been the same name, Design Tech Homes LLC, the entire time, and don't plan on changing that. If we actually went out of business or changed our name all the time, all the homes we built before wouldn't be warranted, and that's not good business and also not a good representation of what you want to be known for. So be really careful with that. Literally some well-known names that you would know if I mentioned them are builders that have done that and still do that. They change their name every few years, or change their contractual name, not their marketing name. Always check the builder's references. These are things you can do to check out the builder. Visit the homes under construction so that you can go see what they do. Talk to subcontractors and vendors about their payment history. Are they getting paid? If they're living off the draw, meaning they're not they didn't charge enough, the buyers, and they're having to wait to get paid by a draw, meaning they're having to wait till the house gets framed completely before they get their money. That's not a good thing. Ours guys get paid their money, meaning if a subcontractor frames the home, and they get paid in stages, they obviously can't wait. If it takes 3 weeks to frame a home, none of them can feed their family for 3 weeks. So they get paid in stages that we pay them. We don't get paid until the house is framed, okay? Completely framed. So we're paying them out of our pocket. So if your builder doesn't have enough money because they didn't charge enough or aren't well financed, then they're gonna have to wait till the house is completely framed, and that contractor is going to go, oh my God, I'm not getting paid. This builder's not paying me. So you want to be really careful in the fact that you're buying from a company that has the wherewithal to be able to pay the contractors without getting a draw. So we don't wait on draws to pay our contractors. They get paid every Friday for work they did the previous week, as long as they did the work and it was complete. Check out the owners of the company. Is the builder a member of the Better Business Bureau? Those are all things you can do to check out the builder. Energy Star. So every builder in the United States is supposed to build to the National Energy Code. There is an energy code, but many builders do not comply to that. And when I say that is you have no idea if they're building to the National Energy Code unless they do some of the things I'm going to talk about. One of those things is you have to do a HERS score, meaning you're going to have to send the plan to what's called a HERS rater, Home Energy Rating System. You're going to send it off there. They're then going to rate that home. And the lower the HERS score, the better, the more energy efficient it is. That's part of building to the National Energy Code. They also need to put in certain kind of insulation and do a test. None of them, when you hear me say this, none of them do that unless they're building in a city, okay, where they are being checked. In the city of Houston, The city of San Antonio, that is a requirement. Okay. Now we're a nationally recognized Energy Star builder. That is about, if you think about it, that's about the best way to explain it is we're about 30% more efficient than the National Energy Code. And we're also guaranteeing that we build a home that way. The way we guarantee that is we actually send the plan off to a HERS rater. It then comes back. We tell them how we're going to build the home, and they actually come out and inspect the home for energy savings, meaning they inspect the insulation. They inspect it before the sheetrock goes up. They inspect the ductwork on the home to make sure that it is going to meet less than 3% duct leakage. Less than 3%. I can tell you we have many vendors that want to do our work until they find out we're an Energy Star builder. And they go, I don't want to do your work. That's too hard. And I'm talking about the HVAC, heating, ventilation, and cooling contractors. When they find out that we're building to Energy Star standards, they are not very excited about that. So they don't do our work. It is a very hard standard to meet. And so when we tell you we're building your home to that standard, we're guaranteeing it. You actually get a certificate from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Department of Energy saying your home now is energy efficient, EPA certified, Energy Star certified, just like you do on your TVs or appliances. I can tell you, if they're not doing that, many builders will tell you they are building an energy efficient home. If they don't test it, you have no idea. I can tell you at the end of our homes, when we're finishing out the homes, we generally fail the Energy Star inspection one time because it's really hard to pass. And so they have to go in and find what the problem is. So they do a duct blaster test, which tests the ductwork for less than 3% duct leakage. And they also do what's called a blower door test, where they put an apparatus in one of the doors of the home and close the entire house up and see if there's any leakage that's coming through the walls or coming through the outlets, coming through the light switches, all that kind of stuff they're checking, because we have to seal it all off to make sure it's completely sealed. When they're in the insulation stage before the sheetrock goes on, they're actually foaming around every window, every door, base plate, top plate, holes drilled in the top plate. It's really, really sealed up, but then there's also an inspection, not only just by our guys, but also by a third party to make sure we're going to meet that requirement. If you go onto the Energy Star site, we're one of the only nationally recognized custom home builders. There's very, very few custom home builders in both Houston or San Antonio that are Energy Star builders. We build 100% of our homes to the Energy Star standards. There are some builders that say they build Energy Star and they only build one or two, not all their homes. We will not build a home unless it meets the Energy Star standard. And that's a very, very high standard. We're also Indoor Air Plus certified. I think we may be the only one. I don't look at it every week, but we were the only one a few weeks ago, Indoor Air Plus certified. And so clean and healthy air, making sure we have good filtration, fresh air intake, fresh air exhaust with all, we want to make sure we have a healthy home. We've done that from day one, and making sure that we can help protect the occupants. One can't say we can kill viruses, but we definitely can keep the dust down and pollen down and things like that that are in the home that can affect the occupants. So we believe we build a very, very healthy home, and again, it's certified that way. So if you ever want to learn about Energy Star, go to the Energy Star site. A lot of great information there. Guardian Certified Inspection Program. Most people think that there's inspections when you build a house. If you're building in the city of Houston, city of San Antonio, you will have inspections. If you're not, there are no inspections required. We actually hire a third-party inspection company. If you don't have a builder that's doing that and they tell you they do inspections, ask them who does them. If you want to, we have no problem if you want to hire your own third-party inspector. So we get double inspected. And if we're in the city, it'd be triple inspected. I love having inspections because I know that it makes us build a better home. So we do third-party inspections. They are very, very onerous, and we don't pass them all. We fail, which means they actually do them. A foundation inspection, you can't do a proper foundation inspection if you haven't had an engineered foundation where they can come out and inspect what the engineer has drawn. Is that what's in the ground? So our engineer who designed the home actually goes out on site and inspects the foundation to make sure that what they designed is what we put in the ground. Then there's a plumbing grounds inspection that would be required in any city. We do it whether in the county or the city. We actually fill all the what's called the sewer pipes up. It's called a stack that goes up about 8 feet, 8 feet. We fill that stack up, you put a line on it, and if it doesn't drop the water in it after we fill up all the grounds over 24 hours, then it passed that grounds test. That's a very important test, and the fact that the number 2 reason for slab failure after not having proper drainage is having a cracked pipe underneath your house. Then we do a foundation placement inspection. That's after all those have passed, they come out, and this is totally unique to us. This is not required by a city, but we do it. We have them come out, the engineer's representative comes back out on site, and when the concrete is being placed into the foundation, along with our construction manager, they're actually marking what truck went where, and then they are placing what truck went where the concrete, they're checking the concrete truck logs, you know, let's say it's a 12-yard load. Did they deliver 3,000 PSI concrete? They're checking all those things to make sure what we ordered, what they required is what's being put into the slab. So very, very important. Again, that's unique to us, that it's not required by the city of Houston or San Antonio, and we do that on every house. Frame inspection. This is also unique to us. If you're building in the county, it's not required to have an engineered frame. If you're building in the city of Houston, city of San Antonio, they actually require an engineered stamp on the frame, which means they've engineered the frame. So you'd expect, if you're building a home, like a big building that you don't want it to fall down, that you'd want it engineered. We engineer all of our homes, whether in the county or the city, with a engineered frame, and that frame then gets inspected by the engineer's representative again. They come out and make sure that what they drew is what we put in the ground, or put on the slab, I should say. Very, very important. And if you're building in a windstorm area, you know, down south, a place that's windy, you have to have an engineered frame to even pass, you know, the Texas windstorm. But all of our homes are all engineered, and again, that's unique. Big deal. San Antonio out in the county, that's rare. We do it on every house. Plumbing, rough-in, that's an inspection where they're going to inspect all the plumbing. We use PEX plumbing, polyethylene cross-linked. We use one of the best. It's called Uponor. It's an A-grade PEX. There's A-grade and B-grade PEX. Many builders use a B-grade PEX. The difference between a B-grade PEX and an A-grade, the easiest way for me to explain it, is an A-grade, you expand it to stick the fitting in, and a B-grade, you slide the fitting in and have to use a coupler to hold it. Now in the A-grade, they still put a ring around it to hold it in, but if you ever watched a video on A-grade PEX, once they expand it, stick the fitting in, you can't get that fitting in, even if an 18-wheeler is pulling it on the other end. So really, really big deal using that PEX. It's also got a longer, what I call shelf life, when it's exposed to UV lights outside. So outdoor light being shined on it can break down PEX over time. A-grade PEX won't break down quite as fast. So we use a higher quality PEX on every home we build. Electrical, one thing we do is a electrical inspection. You want to make sure that when they come out and inspect it, it's being done properly. A lot of builders don't do that. We do an electrical inspection again, whether county or city. Big deal. We also use 12-gauge wiring throughout all of our homes. Many builders use 14-gauge for their secondary for all your plugs. That does save money. We build every house with 12-gauge wire. Big deal. HVAC. Our HVAC is inspected again. They come out and inspect and make sure it has less than 3% duct leakage. They also are out there on site and making sure that it is properly installed. We use Trane air conditioning and heating, and it's 16 SEER, high quality, gas or electric. We can do either one, but it's a great product. And again, we're really proud of the products we use in there. A lot of people talk about builder grades. We don't use a builder grade. We actually put in a very high quality HVAC unit. Block and insulation inspection. That's part of an Energy Star inspection, making sure that it's insulated properly, and they call it air blocking and all those things. It's blocked off to make sure it's being done properly. After the sheetrock's up, after the home's finished and almost completed, we do a cosmetic inspection. We're doing one, but there's also a third party that comes in and does one. We want to try to catch all the stuff so that you're not having to go find it later, that maybe you wouldn't see it standing on a countertop or sitting on your toilet and looking up and seeing that maybe they missed some painting. We have a third party that hasn't been in the home look at it, as well as our construction manager, as well as our area manager, to make sure that we're delivering a very well built home and complete, not just structurally, but cosmetically. Then the final code inspection is the kind of inspection you would get when you complete. If you bought an existing home, you'd want to make sure that it was fully checked out. Well, we do that at the end. We have a final code inspection where they go walk the entire home again, check everything. And once we pass that, we have the final inspection, which is that Energy Star final energy code inspection, that they're going to do a blower door test and a duct blaster test, and making sure that that home is built really tight and is going to function for you long term. A lot of people don't realize when they're in a home, and you may be in a house today, that when you turn the HVAC on, one of the doors close, one room gets hot, one room gets cold. The way we build a home with Energy Star, it doesn't do that anymore. We actually put air returns in every room. It looks just like another register, but it's in every living area. And by doing that, you get a lot more even air distribution. And you also don't have to worry about leaving a door open to, hey, get that room cooler than the other room. All the rooms will cool to the same temperature, within a degree or two, obviously, of your thermostat, generally within a degree. So again, it's tested just like if you were in a big commercial building. That's how they test commercial buildings, to make sure that it is being, even air distribution throughout. Building green, I just bring this up because a lot of people talk when they're shopping. They go, oh, the builder builds really green. First of all, I think most builders today probably build pretty green, but one of the greenest things you can do is building your home energy efficiently. We actually prove we build energy efficiently. We perform it, and you get a certificate from a third party. So it's not us just telling you it. And I know I keep making a big deal about that, but 100% of the time, even if they may not have loved the experience when we built them a house, I wish everyone would love it, and we try to do a great job. They all tell me my home's energy efficient. They all tell me we built them a great home. So that's the best part, is they live in the home and it performs. And that's one thing I'm really proud of. But building green, the other thing is, using the right product. So we're a pretty green builder, meaning we do the right things. We use low VOC paints. We don't, you'll hear builders say, well, they use formaldehyde-free carpet. All builders use formaldehyde-free carpet. But we use, we wrap your home with OSB. The entire outside of your home's wrapped with OSB, which is an engineered APA-rated OSB, which is great because they use the smaller parts of wood and make up a board that's as structural as plywood. So again, very, very strong, makes your home really strong, and that's a requirement if you're building on the coast. We do that on every home. So we're doing a lot of things around, again, making sure your home is built green. Be really careful there. I always say it's sensible green. We want to put money in your pocket, not out of your pocket. So a lot of people talk about solar. Solar has a 20-year payback. It's 20 years to get paid back on solar. It only makes sense when the government's supplying money, meaning they're giving you huge rebates to put it in. It's the only reason it works in California, and hopefully no one gets offended, but that's why California is going broke. They do stuff like that, and it doesn't work. It is really cool. I've done a bunch of solar, but I've only done solar for people who had a lot of money and just said they wanted to have solar. It didn't make any economic sense because power is so inexpensive. We do offer a 20-year warranty. So that's something, again, that we do that I want to bring up because that is unique to us. And so, again, it's on your slab and structure. We want to stand behind your home. And we can do that because of all those things we do to make sure it's being built correctly. I always put up how much can I afford. I probably need to change the, what it is now, because it's certainly not 4%. It's not 6%. Whoops. It's not 6%. The desired monthly payment in this case was $1,000 at 4%, so $209,000 house they could afford. And then when the interest rates went up to 6%, they only could get $166,000 home. So the reason I put this up is a lot of people go, I'm waiting. Unless you can save a whole lot of money, you probably can't save more than what the difference in interest is. And this doesn't take into account the cost going up. Lumber's, again, construction in the United States is going, guys. It's really moving. Things are good. Although we all hear all the bad news, construction's the one bright spot. Costs are not going down. Things are moving quickly. So if you're interested in building, I can't suggest more highly than to now is the best time to build, because you're going to take advantage, and whatever you build, it's going to go up in value. So definitely would consider that. Before you finalize your custom plan, I want to highly suggest that you go get, if you're going to not pay cash for your home, which right now with interest rates as low as they are, I would never pay cash for my home. But I definitely would go get pre-qualified, because getting a construction loan, keep one construction to perm, is much different than getting a loan on an existing home. And the reason that is a construction loan to the bank is more risky. Your normal banks don't do construction loans. Again, they're just not specialized in that. So if you went to Chase, they don't do them. Wells Fargo doesn't do them. So definitely go investigate that, get pre-qualified, and then you'll know what you can qualify for. An existing home is easier to qualify for, because the bank can go, I'm saying this not to be mean, if you died the next day, they can go get that house. If you die while you're building the house, they now have to wait till the home's completed, and they have the risk of that build. So they think about that. So things they're going to look to review is credit scores, liquid assets, debt to income, appraisal, monthly income, and then reportable earnings of self-employed. There's a few questions a lot of questions people asking. Please, if you'd like, love to answer questions. I'm going to be taking questions in just a moment. But can we modify our plans? The answer is yes. We're a totally custom builder. There's nothing that we can't do or change. I'd be happy to do that. Will we build outside architects' plans? The answer is yes, as long as they're drawn correctly and they're not done cheaply. We can take an architect's plans. We'll have to get them signed over to us. Sometimes we do have to redraw them because they're not a good set of plans to be able to build off of, but that is something we can do. How long is the process? Just figure about from, if you said I wanted to buy a house today, it's at least 12 months. Some of that depends on you. It's about a 90-day close. So if you were able to say, I want a house today, it takes about 90 days to close on your construction loan. And we're doing soils testing, engineering, picking the plan, picking out all your selections that are going to go into your home. All that stuff's being done during that 90 days. Surveys, everything that, mortgages, all that stuff's being done in that 90 days. And then you close and we start construction. And depending on the size of the home, we're going to quote 9 to 12 months construction time. And also depending on location. Do you need to have land first? Having land's a big deal. That's obviously a good thing to have. But if you don't have land, that's something that when you find some property, we can help you figure out if you want A or B, which one's the better one to go build on. We'd like to be a part of your experience and help you make the right choices. But again, understanding where you're at, understanding the mortgage side, understanding what I always say qualified, what you're comfortable with in spending is a big deal up front, because building a custom home, there are a lot of costs that if you're buying a subdivision's all decided for you. And when you're building a custom home, your driveway is not 20 feet long anymore. It's generally 50 or 75 or 125. Well, that's a whole lot different than a 25-foot setback on a production home that's in a neighborhood. So those are all things that you need to think about. A lot of people say, do I need to pay off my land? The answer is you don't need to pay off your land to go get a custom home. You can, if you've only paid $5 on it, you can refinance it and put it all in with your loan. So I think that, a lot of people say I need to wait. You will get equity for your property, even if, let's say you bought your property for a deal for $50,000 and you've only paid, like I said, $5 on it, but it's worth $70,000. Well, guess what? You're going to get that equity of $20,000. So there's really no reason to wait. waiting, I always say, cost you money. And again, it doesn't take into account for the increase in cost of labor and material, and labor keeps going up and up and up as well as material. So with that, I'm completed kind of a good overview. If you do end up wanting to build, or at least getting a quote from us, love the opportunity to be able to build a home for you, or at least have the opportunity to bid on a home for you. And if not, I hope you're able to take some of what I've told you and keep from getting in trouble if you decide to build with someone else, or if you're already working with someone else. So definitely be careful, but just be knowledgeable. If you have any questions, please feel free to go on the chat, and we can answer some of those. I'll stay on for a few minutes if that's something that you want to be able to ask. Be happy to answer them and go into the questions. A lot of people ask about insulation as you're buying a custom home. A lot of people say, hey, I want foam insulation. Great, here's one. What's the best insulation? Always comes up. The best insulation is one that's done properly. So all insulation types are good. A lot of people ask about foam insulation, and foam insulation in the wall. Foam insulation in the wall is a great product, but I always say foam insulation at the roof deck is not something I recommend. If you ask a fireman what they think about foam at the roof deck, if you meet a fireman, they're going to tell you, ooh, don't do that. I have reasons not to do it. One is it's flammable, even though they'll tell you it's not flammable. In a fire that starts in the attic, generally that's where fires start, in the attic, in the garages, and the kitchen. If it catches on fire, it sends out toxic smoke, and the firemen will not get on the roof once they figure out it's got a attic that's been all foamed. So that's a negative. The other thing is, when you foam the attic deck, you can get a leak in your home from a storm, or maybe there was a nail that wasn't sealed properly, and you'll never know there was a leak until one day when you're walking on the roof and they fall in. Dale Phillips, who did the radio show with me several times, had, whether he didn't fall in, but had his foot go through. It's because it rotted, and no one knew it. And then it became a large problem instead of a small problem like leak. So what I suggest is we use a blown fiberglass insulation in the attic. We use a blown-in bib system in the walls called bibs, where they actually put fabric up on the entire exterior of your interior of your home, but on the exterior walls, and then they fill all those cavities with a blown-in fiberglass. We do use foam around every window, every door on the bottom. So those are all things that we do to make sure that it's done properly. So again, I don't hate foam. I'm just telling you that the cost for foam, I can build a house that's just as energy efficient without using that much foam in the home, but then will cost you less. A lot of people ask, we use a shingles. A lot of people want to know what's the cost difference between asphalt and a metal roof and a tile roof. So it really goes, asphalt's the least expensive. Generally, it's a limited lifetime, but just figure you're going to get about 20 years out of them. A metal roof only has a 20-year warranty, but it'll last a lot longer, to 50 years. And then a tile roof has a 50-year warranty, and generally that, depending on what city you're in, Houston, that's a little bit less than some of the metal roofs. In San Antonio, it'll cost you more than a metal roof, but considerably more money than a asphalt roof. We do use a asphalt roof that is a 10-year warranty for stain. So you probably see a lot of the asphalt roofs as you drive around, I'm going to say production neighborhoods and a lot of custom, that you see that brown staining on, or the black staining. Ours has a 10-year guarantee. Again, we put in, everything we do is, you may not catch it, or our salespeople probably aren't really good at talking about it, but we do a lot of stuff that long-term people appreciate. We also put in all of our homes a surge protection at the breaker box. That's standard in every home. So we actually have surge protection built into the breaker box. And again, that's unique. Most people don't do that. So there's a lot of little things we do that are important. You know, a lot of people might put a lot of, I'm going to say lipstick on things to make things look better. You can always add the lipstick. We obviously can add it if you want to in the design process, but the construction side, we're really, really careful on what we do and how we build to make sure we're building the best home. You know, one of the persons asked, can the land be used as collateral? Yes, it can. That's what I was speaking about earlier. Your land, if you own it outright, great. That's going to give you more buying power, meaning more collateral. But you could have bought it again for a deal, and it appraises for a lot higher than that, and all of a sudden you have your 5% or 10%, depending on the loan and the way you qualify, what you need down to be able to qualify for that loan and buy it. So those are all things that you need to consider. And again, appreciate you spending your time with me. I'm trying these at different times. Some people, 7 o'clock at night's better. Sometimes 5:30 is better. So I've done a few in the afternoon. COVID's kind of made it really strange. Used to do all these live. So I appreciate, everyone attending, and please stay safe. And I guess that's all. We now all need to wear our masks and do all the stuff so that we can all keep building and going to restaurants and all the things we like to do. Our construction's never slowed down. Fortunately, so far, no one in our company has contracted COVID. We've tested several people, but no one's contracted it. And so we've been very fortunate, and we're very careful in all we do. So again, thank you so much for your time. And if we can help you in any way, you can email me, Brian Bromberg, Julius in San Antonio, who runs our San Antonio division. He's there to help you. So again, appreciate all your time, and I'll be posting this online tomorrow, so you'll be able to listen to it again if that's will help you. Again, we'd love to answer any questions. So thank you so much, and have a great evening.